So large coral, I'm not sure how large are we talking about. Like the biggest piece I had was, I was able to get it in a very large stock pot and boil it down. I'm not sure, like if it's larger than that. If it's very big, anything that you can find a way to boil water, if you've got like a large way, I don't know, a large barbecue grill or anything. And it may not be that, yeah. So if you can put it in a big pot and just let it boil on the stage, it should be fine. Just make sure that the water is prime treated. I know that you'd probably give it a final dip in prime treated water anyways, but yeah, you just want to make sure that there's nothing on that. If you're like me, I also, once it's cooled, will then take a toothbrush and just go over everything. And my salt water, I have this upright because otherwise the light creates a lot of algae. But if I was to take it down, like I've got coral pieces in my salt water as well. But so I'll once or twice every couple of months, I'll take all the coral out and use a toothbrush and clean it, because it's in the tank and it gets a little algae covered, which is why I have this, because otherwise it goes green within a couple of weeks. Yeah, crabs will put on pants sometimes that seem way too big for them. And sometimes they'll wear pants that seem way too small on them. And I wish we understood the psychology of that, but we don't. Hunter just did and he was talking about his white crab having a huge shell on. I think the purpose is for them to be able to get their whole big claw in to cover the opening of the shell. But yeah, some of them like their skinny jeans. Some of them want to, be like, hey, I still fit in this. I mean, I think we're all kind of like that sometimes. So does anyone have any questions about any of the shells or anything? So I have to, just because I don't have any questions, or at least I'm not seeing any questions coming in. Oh, how do I tell if the shell is coated? Usually it's shiny, or it's got like a very sort of oily feel to it. There are some shells that are naturally shiny. So for instance, this would never be a crab like used for a crab shell, obviously, because this aperture is not hermit crab friendly. But like, for instance, there are shells that do have a natural sheen to them. These and olives are another one. They're like a longer shell. They have a very shiny sort of glossiness to them. And that's because the snail that actually inhabits these shells when they're in the wild actually cover the shell as they move. So it keeps it quite shiny. But a lot of the shells that we use, that's not how the snail operates. So the foot comes out the bottom and they move along. So as you can see, these aren't nearly as shiny. So if you pick up a shell like the turbos and they seem really, really shiny and it's like feels plasticky almost, then it most likely is coated. And that I always say, when in doubt, leave it out, because you don't want it to be in there. Yeah. With concerns to stuff being bleached, again, same thing. So if you're looking at a sand dollar and it is like glaringly white, it could be naturally bleached, like bleached by the sun. I'm not saying that it's not. But more than likely, if you're looking at a sand dollar, especially if you bought it at a store and it's glaringly white, it's probably been bleached, at which point I wouldn't put it in the tank. Most sand dollars, if they haven't been bleached, they're like a grayish color, or like they've got like modeling on them. So, sorry. Yeah, I offer both crushed and non-crushed. So I have like pieces of larger coral in my tank. And then I also, as I said, some of the broken pieces, I will take it and I'll crush it up and I'll offer it as part of the exo mix that I make. I'm just trying to get the lid off of this with the least So I don't know if you can, probably not, but like even my exo mix even has like little tiny starfish in it, crushed up pieces of coral, and stuff like that. So it's fine and powdery, but then it's also got like chunks of shells in it. And that just, as I said, gives them the most, I think, replicated natural environment. They're not going to eat everything, but they will pick and choose what I would assume what nutrients they need. So I'll look for little bubbles on the surface. Yeah, sometimes you will see a big glob of lacquer on the shell. That's always a dead giveaway. If you're seeing bubbles on the top of a shell, that definitely will let you know. And of course, the coating on the inside you can sometimes see as well. If there's any sort of discoloring around the rim. Can I use what? Oh, these ones as decor? Yeah, certainly. These can be used as decor. Pretty much anything that is natural and hermit crab safe can be used as decor. As I said, one of the things that I found, I don't know if you can see it, but the acorn barnacles were something I found at the local value village, and I put them in the tank. I was like, well, we'll see how they like them or not. And this was just after last year's CrabCon, and I had two very small captive red babies that came home with me, and they just thought that it was the coolest thing. I often found them sitting on top of it. There was one of the holes of the barnacle that was large enough that they could squeeze down into. They don't fit in those anymore. They've caught up to some of their other tank mates with how big they are. I often see them and go, "You used to be this big," and now they're in much larger shells. So, yeah, making your own exo mix is really easy. As I said, when I get a bunch of shells, I mean, these can be used as decor items, but they're really thin bivalves, so like you can actually break them with your hand. So mortar and pestle, you can, as I said, crush them up quite fine, much finer than that, obviously. I actually got an old meat grinder from Value Village, and I hand grind a lot of my shells. And outside, of course, because it makes a lot of dust, and I don't like dusting if I can avoid it. So if it's outside, I don't have to worry about it. Neither does my husband. But yeah, so I can just go outside with a bunch of like exo mix, and I mean, it will be shells, broken pieces of coral, broken, echidnoids. So as I said, starfish, urchins, and stuff like that. I boil and bake before I crush up, but then I'll go out with the old fashioned meat grinder and sit and feed it in and grind away. And my neighbor thinks I'm crazy because she thought I was doing something much different, but if at least one of our neighbors doesn't think we're crazy for being a crab mom, I guess we're not doing it right. So as I was saying in my presentation, I've been able to find like a lot of really larger crab pants, which I know that where I'm located, it's hard to find larger shell, like open shell. So anyways, but even just like last week, my neighbor had a yard sale, and I have no idea what type of shell this is, but it's beautiful, and who knows, it might be a home for one of my crabs one day. Maybe not, but I absolutely love it. But I've also been able to, as I said, find like this is one that I got in a shell jar that was like $3. And this, if I were to buy it and have it shipped up to me, would be a $50 shell minimum. So it's been a really good way for me to get a lot of shells that otherwise I wouldn't have access to. And I only get to go to CrabCon in person every other year at this point. So I have to budget my time and resources accordingly. Yeah. Yeah, so I've never tried an electric grinder, but oh, my crab shirt. Yeah, sorry. This is from last year. It's a crustacean plantation tank top that I love. And yes, I'm a huge fan of Angela. We've been sharing love back and forth. I suppose you could try and remove glaze with a Dremel. The issue with that is you're never going to be able to tell if you've 100% removed the glaze. And then the other thing is by removing that top layer, you potentially could weaken the outer layer of the shell, therefore making it more susceptible to breaking. So, I mean, I'm not going to say don't try it because I'm not the type of person to do that, even at my best of times. But certainly you can try it and see how it works. Yeah, and they will modify the lip, but we definitely, we don't want anything that, like, let's say they have a tank mate that, decides to take a chip off of them. We don't want that to end up in the tank mate either, meaning another crab. Don't put things in the crab tank that aren't crabs. Hi, Trisha. How are you and your mom? I'm just scrolling back to see if I've missed anything. Had a crab eye too. Yes, don't. That's the other reason I do the grinding outside is the dust goes into the air outside and not so much into my lungs inside. Could shells out of the Mississippi River work for baby crabs? Yeah, so any shell from anywhere, I would say could, depending on the lips and stuff and that's what I was saying is most of the shells I find are from the Caribbean, just based where I am in North America. But I do also have some shells that come from the South Pacific or the Indonesian area. Sometimes my crabs like those better than what they would be naturally wearing. So long as the shells, as I said, are prepared and looked after, then you should be able to use them for the babies or for any other crabs. You can always offer them. They'll pretty much, as I said, let you know whether it's a shell that they like or they don't like. Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad that you're here. Yay. Best of luck at general finding turbos. Smaller turbos, like the little green turbos and stuff like these. This is actually a jar I just grabbed from the thrift store the other day. I haven't actually cracked open into it yet. So you can see that there's some turbos in this one. I do tend to have the best of luck, as I said, thrift stores finding shells like that, like especially the turbos. More exotic shells, definitely more so on the yard sale sites, but that's because I'm willing to pay a little bit more for an exotic shell. Would I have time for a mini tank tour? Sure. Yeah. So this is really the tank behind me, what you're seeing. It's 125 gallon. This I set up just after CrabCon last year. I have my two pools. So salt water is on the one side. My fresh water is actually behind a rock structure that I made using foam, covered it in dry lock, carved it off. So you can't really see the fresh water, but it's up on a shelf, so it's got a little bit of elevation. I've got the two different types of wheels. Both of them get used so often. Yeah, and the moss pit, couple of shell shops. So I've got shell shop with larger shells down on the base, and then the smaller shells are up on the top over there. And I just keep them separate because I find that if I put the small ones in with the big ones, they always end up inside one another. And I'm sure that they're fighting over them anyways. And then, yeah, some coconut stuff. There's plans. I do have the one thing that when I upgraded to this tank that I lost when I went away from my smaller tank, which is a 30 gallon with a topper. That's actually now in my daughter's room because she's got 3 of her own hermit crabs. But I lost a topper. So in the next year, my husband's offered to move the TV over so I can put a topper on this one. So that will be this year's winter project. But yeah, that's my tank as it is. I have never had a hermit crab escape to my knowledge. And I really hope that they haven't. I've got 2 cats, so Hunter has told me on the other chat that we just did that they would probably let me know if one had. But yeah, I have 9 in this tank, and my daughter has 3 in hers that were rescues from another home. eBay, yeah, eBay is a great way to find shells for sure. How do we clean out salt water? No, I use a siphon system. So I used to have fish, so I had all the stuff for being able to clean out a tank. So as about once a month, I'll do a complete remove all the water, put it back in, and then I just do top ups. They do have submersible pumps in them, and then yeah. On the back wall of my tank, egg carton that I've then covered with different things. So a lot of it is that fake greenery matting, but then I've also zip ties. There's a starfish that they pick at. There's a couple pieces of corkwood, some coconut rounds. So basically some fun things to allow them to climb. I have never used eBay to find shells. So maybe if Veruska is able to private message you, Rebecca, maybe you guys can talk together about that. As I said, I haven't used eBay, but if using eBay is working, then that's a great platform. I will say that I have been seeing some people posting about finding fantastic shell finds on Temu and stuff like that. My only concern with Temu is you're still propagating that somebody needed to go take those shells out of the wild in order to sell them for profit, which, again, I'm not shaming anyone. If that's what you're doing, that's fine. You're getting your crab pants someplace. But I am 100% sort of against supporting these big fast fashion. I even don't buy on my shells on Amazon because you know that they're paying somebody to take them off a beach somewhere. So I would much rather spend the time and build up my library, through urban shelling, which has, again, as I said, allowed me to really get a good collection going. And yes, Ken Lippe, don't ask me. I bought a lot of shells from him last year while I was down at the CrabCon in Virginia last year. I came home with way more shells than I probably should have. But at least I knew that they were sizes and shells that I couldn't easily find otherwhere. So I got some 2.5 inch and 3 inch, shells that I don't have any crabs in that size yet, but I do have my big one, Clifford, my big red crab. He's in a 2 inch now, so he'll be needing those soon. And they are harder to find, especially he likes his, of course, Tapestry Turbo he's our big red crab in a big red shell, and he's always liked his Tapestry. So yeah, if you're buying something on eBay or Etsy or something, or any of those pages that you have the opportunity to message the seller, that's a great way to make sure that you're getting the size that you need. I think that's a great idea because then they can let you know. If you were lucky enough to get the VIP CrabCon box, there were 2. I jumped up for joy. I'm going to, I believe it's Meredith Haas. Meredith Haas has provided little shell gauging, 3D printed shell gaugers. I thought those were really awesome. I literally squeed with joy when I pulled that out, because I was like, this is amazing. I have a caliper, but this is so much better. And then one of the other vendors, I don't have the stuff next to me. Oh, okay. Sorry. Yes. Savannah Closet. Amazing. And then one of the other vendors gave a card that had shell sizes on the back so that you could sort of figure that out. And I was like, this is great that people are thinking, because it's, that was one of the questions that came up a lot at CrabCon last year was, how do you know what size shell you needed? And not everybody's got a pair of calipers. And even then you're trying to figure out, so yeah. Anyways, I highly suggest if you didn't get the VIP swag, that if you have the opportunity to purchase one of the shell gauge rings sets from Savannah or whichever vendor that may have them that you would like to go with, that they are incredibly handy to have for a quick resource guide. So, and keep in mind, like they're circled, right? So I have purple pinchers. I wish I had exotics, but purple pinchers are what I've been able to rescue. And oh, yay! Congratulations, Savannah. So purple pinchers, most of them have they prefer the round aperture openings. So when I say round aperture, it's like a very circular aperture. Whereas I've heard, as I said, I don't have them. I've heard Ecuadorians and some of the other exotics prefer more of a D shape, which is more flat on the bottom and then pops up to make a D shape. She did bring her Zoe to land. Yay! That's a great analogy. And so the D's might size a little bit different from what I've been led to understand. And please correct me if I'm wrong. You're going basically from side to side. That's going to be how you measure your round openings. And the pretty much the same with the D's. It's it's from, where because that's the space that they're using. So, but I'm so jealous, Veruska. I'm hoping and praying and I would love to have strawberry. I would love a strawberry or two. They're on my wish list, but yes, Ecuadorians are adorable. I love their eyes are a lot more elongated. But my purple pinchers are adorable and I will keep them forever, ever and ever, and as long as they allow me to be their mom. So sometimes we'll have strawberries. Yes. There's someone in Canada too, and I can't remember. Anyways, yes, there's another, there's a lady in Canada up in the GTA area, and I'm so sorry, I forgot her name. But she had a couple of strawberry Zoe spawns last year, and I was like, please, 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 please. But we're working on it. There's going to be a breakthrough. So actually, that's Mary and I are giving a talk today at 1:30 about the sharing Zoe and the logistics of Hermit House and getting to the point where we've got more spawns with potential, matching to people that will be able to, hopefully raise them, and so that we can crack those codes and hopefully get a lot more babies to land. Baby hermit crabs, not baby humans. Although, congratulations, Savannah. Massive crab room. Yeah, my husband and I had this discussion where we're like, if we ever win the lottery, and I was like, I want to walk in crabitat. I want to be able to walk in, be hit in the face with muggy humidity, and then just be able to have wall to floor to ceiling, trees they can climb up, and yeah, that would be my dream. So yeah, if we ever win one of those stupid lotteries, I'll be like, and this is my crab room. But yeah, a greenhouse for crabbies. I love it. What is at the bottom of my pool? Down here, this is a piece of paper because I have my curtains closed right now, so you can see me. But if I have my curtains open, there's a lot of sunlight on this end of the tank. So it just turns everything underneath green. But what's on the bottom of my tank, this one right here, I've got coral and some shells and stuff. So yeah, that's basically so big milk conch, and that they would never ever use because again, it's a true conch, so very narrow. If it was a marine crab, maybe, but not my land hermits. And then just some big coral pieces that I've found. If you do end up using coral pieces and they do get covered in algae, these actually I just put in. I took them out for a week and just let them sit in the sun. It kills all the algae off and you can sort of do a nice reset. But I just keep that up there because otherwise it grows a lot too fast. So it could very well have been amber. Someone already made a walk. Yeah, probably somebody did. It wasn't me. I don't have that amount of money behind me. So, that being said, I have another one of these that I just purchased for $80. And again, I'm hoping I have to figure out the logistics of it because I don't want to put too much weight on my floor. But my husband is like, why don't we even just make a big L? And I'm like, that would be great. It would be like 1,000 pounds of sand, but so we're hoping to connect it with a topper, but yeah. How'd I get those tanks home? A husband, a pickup truck, and the last time I really hurt my back. So this next time it will be my husband and a couple of his friends pulling it home. But the one that I just got for $80 is across the road. Our neighbor is moving, and he was using it for a snake enclosure. The snake is no longer. That's actually where I was getting my snake shed for a long time. So that kind of sucks. But he did sell me the tank for $80. So. Yeah, that's a really small tank. Yeah, no, it's not a small tank. It's not. And I'm actually was looking at it the other day and was like, I need to go get some more sand because my sand has definitely done some, collapsing. So it's not 500 gallons. No, it's 125. But yeah, so I'm sure that eventually, and then as I said, my daughter has a smaller tank in her room. So anyhow, any other questions? So Angela just told me that she could take land hermit crab shells too. So I'll be going through it. But yeah, just over the last year, I've collected an entire tote. And I mean, this is full of shells that vary from this size, like little tiny shells, all the way up to like big honkers that, I mean, I don't think my crabs would ever need. And I get some that I get just so many of that I'm like, I already have 10 of these. So they're going to get donated and hopefully go back. And then, as I said, I do try and keep the small ones back just in case I ever end up needing them for my own endeavors. And the last time, I think donating is fantastic, especially if you have somebody that can use them. So like, as I said, Angela loves them. Sean, Make the Switch for Nature, we'll take donations. Do crabby pinchy claws for confetti? Is that what this is you guys. But yeah. Oh yeah. And I mean, that's why I said some purple pinchers do absolutely love different like openings. I try and offer a huge amount in my tank so that they, can sort of decide what they want to wear. And as I said, I have had some that are like, cool, I'm going to wear this Murex around the tank for a night. And then I'm going to switch back to my old Reliable. And I'm like, right. So it was a Bridgerton ball, I guess. I don't know. I feel like I need a bigger tank sometimes too, but especially after I came back from CrabCon last year, because I came back with all kinds of stuff and all kinds of ideas of what I wanted to do with stuff. And underneath this is just a whole bunch of like totes and bins of stuff I've been collecting that I'm like, oh, I'll incorporate that in my next build. So, yeah. Yeah, Marketplace is a great place to find, stuff that you can use to upgrade your crab habitat, like hamster wheels and stuff like that. Again, I just always give them a good clean before I do anything. Yeah, moving with a big tank is going to be fun, and that's one of the reasons why the second 125 gallon, I'm not in any huge rush to fill. And the last thing I'd want to do is accidentally set up a second huge tank and then have to move a month later. That would suck. So, yeah. they're at a 100-gallon tank. So yeah. And I mean, it's fun how I can sometimes find things that I didn't think. Like this is corkwood, and I found it at Value Village, and it's got, and I was like, that would be such a cool little foraging thing to attach to the back of a tank, to put like different foraged items in. And I was like, it would be really cool. And as far as I could tell, it's not been treated. But so in my next tank, or maybe my topper, I'll be attaching that to the back so that I can sort of give them something fun to do. So, but I also said to my husband, I said, it wouldn't be that hard to make these. So I'm a crafty person, and I'm always like running off to do and I was like, oh, let's start making those. And then the other thing is you can make your own decor really easily. So I always keep an eye out at the grocery store, coconuts, just buying your own coconut. I got these because they're flatter than the ones I normally see. So I was like, if I put them into a tank, they don't stick out as much. But my husband just takes a circle drill and drills out the center and let them sit outside for a day or two, and the meat separates. And then you just have a couple of really easy coconut hides for, $1, and whatever time it takes you to convince your husband to drill a hole in them. Actually, I think the last time I did it. So what size is the opening on those? Oh, I would say 2-inch. Well, where did it go? Maybe 2.5. That's a 2-inch shell. So 2.5. He wouldn't be able to fit in there, obviously, but the little ones would. Yeah. What size? Or were you asking about the openings on these? I think they're about 1 inch. So, anyways. Anyway. Yeah, coconut hides are like a favorite of mine. What I love about them is they don't tend to go moldy very easily. So you can have them in the substrate and they don't mold. You can attach them, you can drill through them and attach them to the back of your, tank decor if you want. You can basically do anything you want with a coconut shell within reason. So yeah, salt water is, I like to soak myself in salt water for about a half hour too, but yeah. Where do I get coconuts? At the grocery store. And then so I love them with coconut fiber. Yeah, same with mine. And then I've actually got a couple that don't I've sort of put as a U shape, and I put the coconut, and they, during the day you could see the coconut fiber up on top, and I know that there's one buried down below because, yeah. Crocheting a bridge. I do have, I went and got the organic, jute rope and stuff, because I fully intended on doing some knit stuff or crocheted stuff, make my own ladders. I haven't had time, unfortunately, but HEB. I'm sorry, what is HEB? Yeah. Oh, yeah, not a problem. Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry. Awesome. Yeah. So I, again, am in Canada, so HEB. But yeah, I go to Fresh Co, which is would probably be about as foreign as HEB to your ears. But, I think the Brevi's video doesn't start for another minute or two, but it will be on the main stage. Delicious. Yeah, I always say if you're going to be working with fibers and stuff like that, to just be very conscientious if it smells anything like, I believe it's diesel or stuff like that, then most likely don't use, because it's probably been treated with something that you're. Yeah, sounds great, Stacy. Thanks. And yes, I can't wait to see your. Like I saw yours earlier today with the crab hat, and I'm like, oh, I miss these people so much. We'll all be together again next year. It's going to happen. Oh, you guys are so welcome. Love you too, Mary. All right, thanks for joining me on my Q&A. If you want to stay in chat for a couple minutes more, I'll keep it open for like another couple minutes, and then we can all go over and watch other stuff. But thank you guys so much. This was some experience, that's for sure. I'm not used to talking on. Anybody else have a cat sitting next to them? Because I have that happening too. He's on a pillow next to me because he wanted to be on my lap. Yeah, he's my helper. He was just, you'd let me know if there was an escape crab in our house, right? Yeah. Again, it should be safe to use material collected from anywhere. You would just, if you're doing sand or shells, so sand, I would suggest baking on a low temperature in your oven for at least 30 minutes just to kill any microorganisms before introducing it into the tank. With shells, you would want to put them in and boil them, at a hard boil for at least 5 minutes, again, just to kill any microorganisms. And then, of course, cool. And the water that you would use would be prime treated. And then, you should be able to use those in your tank, regardless of whether they're from Jersey Shore or a riverbank somewhere in the continental U.S., as somebody asked earlier. So. Any other questions? Do you have pinchers? Like purple pinchers? Yeah, that's all I have is I have 9 in this tank, and then there's 3 in my daughter's tank. So yeah, I bought my first 2. I was bad and did that. And then the rest of them have all been rescues, with the exception of 2 that were captive bred babies that I got from Mary at last year's CrabCon. So. And I wish I could say that I know all of their names and which shell that they're in currently. But even with Wise Camera, I have no idea. They switch pants so often, and I couldn't tell you which one's which. So we do have some names. Like, as I said, I know Clifford is Clifford because he's our big red crab. And I know that we have Squeaks, who's like the tiniest one. But as I said, Squeaks is growing. You have 2. That's awesome. And did you have you been keeping them for a while, or did you just start? I know that a lot of people take pictures of the crabs that they have and ask on the Facebook groups. They're usually able to identify by what species they're looking at. More than likely, if they were bought at the beach in the continental US, so like North Carolina, that area, more than likely they are purple pinchers. Because they're the ones that are sold most frequently at the beach shops there. Purple pinchers, obviously, one of the easiest ways to identify them is they have a purple pincher. The big claw is usually like a purple color. That being said, depending on diet, they can be like a lighter color as well. So like a red or even an orange colored as well. It seems Clifford's a very popular name for a hermit crab. Yeah, and that's, it's one of those things that I think we all, like, a lot of us, well, I think a huge majority of us started off with our first crabs being purchased, because you bring them home not knowing any better. My first crab, I brought home Manu and Marley. As I said, it was to a 12 by 12 exo topper that I thought was going to be amazing. And within, 2 weeks of me bringing them home, I had already upgraded them into a 20-gallon tank because I was just like, what have I got myself into? So, and a lot of that, do you know what to know? As I said, I don't know, like, I know that I still have I'm pretty sure I still have Marley and Manny. Oh my God. Marley and Manu. I'm pretty sure I still have them, but I couldn't tell you which ones they are in my tank. The only reason I know Clifford, because when I got Clifford, he was the largest. Like, I adopted him from somebody in the Oshawa area, close to where I live, and he was the largest crab, and I had. So he was way bigger than the original two that I had, and he remains big. So he's very easy to identify. Bubbles and Squeak are. Oh, do you want to know their names? Yeah, sure. What are their names, Xander? Aw, Zozo and Spot. Those are cute names for crabs. I think my, like, I have a Pickles, and then my daughter, who's 8, has an Olive, because Olive is little. So she was like, it's like a little Pickles, Olive, and I'm like, that's cute. So, but I like Zozo. That's really a cute name. Any other questions? Or how long have I had my children? I got my first hermit crab in 2022. So I'm a relatively young owner of crabs. And as I said, that first month that I had them, I went from knowing pretty much nothing about them to, finding out everything about them. And it was one of those things that I just missed the 2022 CrabCon by like a month, because when I found out about it, I was like, oh, that was last month. That sucks. And then last year I decided to make the trip down to Virginia, and now I'm definitely a little bit more involved in doing stuff. So Hulk is a great name for a large crab too. Yeah, I like that. But well, I think that's good. I think what I'll do is wrap up, and if it's okay with everybody, I'd love to skip over and meet the brevis, which are different species of crab, because I don't know a lot about them, but I know we were just talking about purple pinchers, but I would love to go over and sort of meet a different species, just in case I ever end up with one in my tank through adoption. But thank you guys for joining me on my Q&A, and I'll be back on live with Mary at 1:30 to talk about Zoe and shipping and all that stuff. So if you want to join in that session, then I'll see you then. But otherwise, thanks for coming on over, and hopefully we'll see more of each other throughout the course of the conference this year. And definitely I have every intention of being in person next year, regardless of where CrabCon ends up being hosted. I've just already budgeted for that, and because I had so much fun last year meeting everybody and sort of finding out that I'm not the only crazy crab person out there. So thank you so much.